After years of grinding, every skill maxed, every quest complete, I did what anyone else would do. Start an Iron Man. The Iron Man journey is ongoing, and quite frankly, never ending. But that account has reached horizons this one never did. At that point, is this account really a main? This isn't a fresh start, this is a comeback story. Welcome to Main Character Energy. Today in this video, we're completing Defender of Varrock, followed by While Guthix Sleeps. The Grandmaster quest, While Guthix Sleeps, gives us access to tormented synapses. And these synapses will ultimately turn into Demonbane weapons, the likes of the Emberlight, the Scorching Bow, and the Purging Staff, which most, if not all three of the items are required in our progress to our ultimate goal, Radiant Oathplate. Let's get started. As I said, the first order of business is Defender of Varrock, so let's get started on the quest. I do have the trusty quest helper in the RuneLight plugins to help me out here. Defender of Varrock should be a nice and quick quest. For Iron Man, this is a pretty crucial quest, pretty pivotal quest in your account progression, as this is what gives you access to the Zombie Axe. A very, very good early to mid game weapon that will get you through a whole bunch of Slayer, and it's going to be a good weapon for both Slash and Crush. For us, it's going to be irrelevant though. Maybe we could get one to bring into the wilderness if we ever decide to do wilderness content. Probably not. Especially not on the main. No reason to, really. But yeah, officially starting Defender of Varrock here. We'll just be flying around a few areas. Actually, if I remember right, this is probably the third or fourth time I'm doing this quest now. Yeah, this guy's just going to follow me. We're going to do some detective work here, inspecting plants and whatnot, following footprints that just magically appeared, actually. So for this quest, I pretty much have everything I already need in my inventory and equipped. The Virtus and all this mage gear is honestly unnecessary, but if you didn't know, you do want to be in mage gear to burst or barrage the armored zombies. That's the best way of getting your zombie axe. We're going to have to fight a couple of those said armored zombies, so that's why we're in our mage gear, but honestly, this is overkill. And then in our inventory, we have a little bit of food, which we probably won't need. Prayer pots just in case. And then we do need a pickaxe for some reason. I'm not sure why. I guess we'll find out. So just now you saw me climb down the ladder into this cavern. As part of the quest, we peered over this balcony over here and we had a little bit of a cutscene. But afterwards, we're in this cavern moving around freely. And you can see in the background, there are some armored zombies already. Now, this is the optimal time for Iron Man, or anybody just wanting to get the Zombie Axe collection log, to farm the armored zombies now. This is because currently, in the middle of the quest, we are in an instance. So, no one else is going to come down and take your spot, or you won't have to world hop to find a free world. As long as you're in the middle of the quest, this is an instance area. You can farm the armored zombies to your heart's content, and get yourself a Zombie Axe. And as a side note, I know I'm decked out in some mage gear here, but it's actually more worthwhile, especially for you Iron Men out there, to conserve your prayer by wearing some prayer gear. Armored zombies don't have a lot of magic defense, so even if you wear proselyte or initiate or even some monk robes or something, that'll conserve your prayer and you'll still do a decent amount of damage to the armored zombies. Well, this isn't my Iron Man series, so let's cut all of that and let's just get going with the quest. Okay, one more little note. If you progress slightly further into the quest and into the cavern, there are more spawns. So you might want to do that first, and then you'll have access to several different clumps of the armored zombies so that you can farm them quicker instead of standing around and waiting for them to respawn. Switching over from playing the Iron Man to the main, well, over the years, I did try to keep most things similar on both accounts so that when I hop back and forth between the accounts, there isn't too much to adjust. For example, the layout of the house is mostly the same. The spellbook altar is in this room right here. I orientated the same. We're facing north right now. We got the ornate pool right here. And to the south is the portal nexus. But then I accessed the portal nexus, and all these shortcut keys are entirely different. The quest has led us into Camdozo. Honestly, this place is really cool looking. I like the color scheme and everything. Almost done with the quest here. Just have to talk to a few more NPCs at Varrock Castle. Decided to swap out of my Virtus and into Graceful though. And on this account, My graceful outfit is this brown looking one. I believe this is a league reward. Let me know what you guys think about this particular graceful outfit. Do you like it? Ah, yes. Varrock Castle is under attack. A zombie invasion. And we're doing nothing about it. We're just running on through, talking to some fellas, and then they're gonna take care of it, not us. Another little cutscene, talking to this Captain Roven guy here, and this should be the conclusion of the quest. There we go. Congratulations, you have completed Defender of Varrock. 2 quest points, access to I don't know how to pronounce it. Zemorigal. Probably just butchered that. The base access, I believe that's where you get the zombie axe. A little bit of smithing and hunter EXP. And we're up to 306 quest points. You know, despite not having played this account for a while, we're not too far off on recapturing the quest cape. A lot of these quests are pretty short, and you can see actually at a glance that most of these are just Varlamore related quests. With Defender of Varrock over and done with now, we can now move on to the more important quest, While Guthix Sleeps. This one's going to give us access to Tormented Demons and the Tormented Synapse. This one is a Grandmastered quest, so there's a lot more to it. It's going to take us a little bit longer, and there are multiple fight encounters. Officially starting While Guthix Sleeps now. And this quest starts out pretty hot. You'll see in just a second. So we're going to talk to this NPC up here, upstairs. We're just having a nice conversation, yada, yada, yada. And then out of nowhere, assassins. And this fight is actually pretty interesting. You got one guy that's going to range you. Well, I don't quite remember how this goes. Oh, there we go. Oh, okay. Perfect example right there. I 100% did that on purpose. Basically, you're going to be protecting range dealing with this ranger. But then he exclaims, now you're going to protect against range from that projectile, but then instantly afterwards, the second assassin shows up and DDS specs you. Are we about to fail this? May have been focusing on the wrong NPC. Oh, slow on that skill issue. I brought some pots with me and I forgot to even use my pot. Alright, surely this guy stays alive, right? Oh, he's got some food. Okay, well, we got rid of the melee, so even though he sent that projectile, you're on your own, buddy. Alright, so that's just first of a few more PvM encounters. Well, those weren't exactly monsters, the M in PvM. So this is the Iron Man brain in me. I need a log for this next step, and instead of teleporting the GE to buy one, I'm just going to chop one real quick. Speaking of Iron Man, just making a little cameo on said Iron Man. You know I gotta be doing something in the background while I'm playing on the main, so I am fishing some anglers. Anyways, back to the While Guthix Sleeps progress. During this quest, you actually get a new pet. These are the most non-elite looking elite Khazard guards I've ever seen. They don't even have full helms. I'm not even sure they're wearing any, like, pants. Mistakes were made. I forgot to bring any weapons to fight these guys just outside MacGruber's Woods. Now the question is, do I spend the time to just kick this guy, or should I TP out? Oh my god, a max hit of 11? Okay, I think I should TP out though, realistically. Oh, and before I head back, I need to pick up a few things, or just one thing for right now actually. A lantern lens. Oh my goodness, what is this concept? We're using the Grand Exchange just to get quest items instead of having to craft them ourselves. Okay, we're being scammed right now. How much does this cost? Lantern lens. 100 GP? Who's gonna merge me? Okay, it costs 25 GP. Alright, so I was making my way back to Falador Castle as part of the quest or whatnot. But I clicked into the castle and I went to go AFK. My character ended up here, and then I discovered this crypt. Now this thing has probably been here for ages, since the beginning of time perhaps, who knows. But I never realized this. Oh, this is Death's office. Okay, this makes sense because Falador Castle is a respawn point. Wow, I have never noticed this. Alright, we're looking real goofy, we're wearing very questionable combinations of gear, and our spellbook is lit up like a Christmas tree, but for good reason. We're going to be doing multiple steps for the next few parts of the quest, and I'm just trying to do everything all at once without leaving. So we're going to be needing to cast a lot of different spells, we'll get into that later, and I also need the Iron Chain Body and Bronze Med Helm as my disguise to get into the Black Knight's fortress. For quests, anytime you need a disguise to get access to a place, it's usually pretty funny. I get it like a little chuckle out of it because, for example, here at Black Knight Fortress, we need the Iron Chain Body and Bronze Med Helm. But at the same time, we're also wearing all this other gear. And, you know, to these fortress guards, they're like, yeah, whatever, you know, you got the Bronze Med Helm, Iron Chain Body checks out, and just completely disregards everything else. Reason number one, we need all these different spells. We got a charge orb on this tile just to gain access into some secret cavern here. We got a beeline past all of these guards. Not looking too great here, actually. And this is probably going to be the reason why I had to TP out afterwards. Despite my best efforts to just do this all in one trip, but we're taking heavy damage here. Yeah, we made it to the end, to the doorway, and we used, like, most of our food, actually. Once we made it through the doorway, we had to fight some of these Black Knights here, Elite Black Knights, to get ourselves a set of the Elite Black Armor. This is actually pretty comparable prayer gear to Proselyte, and it's only outclassed by the Sunfire gear from Colosseum. So we're prepping for a boss fight here, and unfortunately I did have to TP out. But if you follow the quest helper, when you TP out and make it back to the cavern, there is a doorway that is a shortcut. So previously I mentioned having the need to have all these runes in my inventory, spellbook lit up like a Christmas tree, and that's for this next fight encounter. I guess the best way is to simply just hop in and let's fight this boss. So we're going to be protecting Mage here and using Mage against Harak because he protects range and melee. So Mage is the only option here. We do take some chip damage, unfortunately, the good old chip damage. So all this food is really necessary. There's certain specials, so it summons a fireball at us. We're going to have to cast a Water Surge to get rid of that. And then back on to Harak himself. He's going to do several of those projectile attacks, and they're going to be different elements. So for an earth spell, you're going to want to use an air spell. Fire spell, we use a water spell. Water spell, we use a fire. You know, the 4 elements. And then there's also this, nimbleness. We're going to want to cast bind on this agile warrior. And then deal with them. There's going to be another warrior as well. That's going to be strength, and I believe we have to cast weaken on that warrior. We're doing good DPS here, so I'm curious to see if we're actually going to end up dealing with all the mechanics. Because yes, there are even more mechanics. Okay, there we go. So here we have to telegrab this lit explosive and then low alch it. That way we eliminate the threat, otherwise it's going to explode and deal an absolute ton of damage. Something I should have done is actually swap into my Ancestral for better DPS. I was too busy talking about the fight and completely forgot about that, but it looks like it hasn't made too much of a difference. So right here, it can be a lot to tackle, but I think we handled it there. Key thing right there was to right click to ensure I was clicking on the right projectiles. Couple more hits here and the fight should be over. Our DPS was very good here. Even when we didn't have the ancestral one. Alright, fight completed. We didn't even have to deal with that last warrior there. This being a Grandmaster quest, we are nowhere near done. But I'll tell you what, that Harak Magus boss fight was very fun the first time I encountered it, and it was still fun right there, even though that was probably my 3rd time doing while Guthix sleeps. Maybe even the fourth, actually, but nevertheless, it's a very, very creative and interesting, engaging boss fight. For this next part of the quest, we're actually sort of in the wilderness. We're just going to have a cutscene here, and I do say sort of in the wilderness because right here, we're actually above the prayer altar in the wilderness. But don't worry, you're not actually in the wilderness. No one's going to come and PK you. This is just a cutscene. When I first saw this cutscene, I thought this was pretty cool. Lucian over here summons all these undead skeletons with what I assume is rune armor. There's actually some pretty interesting combinations here. For example, this looks like a rune Guthix helm, but obviously that doesn't exist. Oh, there goes those elite Black Knights. That's quite unfortunate. And then this is the beauty about Grandmaster quests. They really put the Grand in Grandmaster when they assemble all of these previous NPCs you've interacted with in other quests. So right there, there's that guy from Lunar Diplomacy and Dream Mentor. There's Duradel, the Slayer Master. A couple NPCs from the Warriors Guild. And Hazelmere. And then honestly, this teleport completely unnecessary. They were like a few feet away. They just had to TP into the fight for style points. Well, that was quick. Goodbye, Duradel. Everybody is just getting poofed. I believe there's a few survivors. Those two hiding behind the rocks. Actually, I have no idea who that guy is. I think he's from the Warriors Guild, but I don't know what his purpose is. And obviously, that's the Slayer Master in Canifis, in Mauritania. We're finally at the part of the quest where we make it to the area where the tormented demons are located. Where we were just by the Tears of Guthix area. We brought ourselves a sapphire lantern, lured some of these light creatures down here, and yeah, we're making our way to the Guthixian Temple, I believe is what it's called. Here we are on the final boss. We're about 25% of the way in now, and this boss is pretty special as well, as you have to use all three attack styles. And the boss itself will use all three attack styles against you. Another key thing here, which is actually make or break when you're dealing with this boss, is that it will drain your stats. As such, to mitigate that, I have plotted a Menophyte remedy, and I also have a bunch of super restores in our inventory. Now, I'm not even going to lie, I died a few times at this boss just simply because I didn't read the mechanics to the boss. So third time's the charm here. This time, I do know all the mechanics to the boss, I think. So, should be smooth sailing on this one. So as you progress in this boss fight, it will start using overheads. Initially, there were no overheads. Now it's protecting one. I think as we go further, it might even protect against two different styles, and you're going to have to be very specific. I might be wrong on that. But the main thing is, actually, you can see that the boss is now attacking faster and faster. So we really have to pay attention here. Yep, there it goes. Protects against two styles, so we have to specifically range it. It's fairly straightforward, though, because you have to... Oh, hold on. It's fairly straightforward, though, because... Oh my goodness. Alright, let's recollect ourselves behind this pillar. Okay. We'll go ahead and send our blowpipe specs as well. What I was going to say is that it's fairly straightforward because when you protect mage, you also use mage. Likewise, melee, protect melee, you also use melee. So in that regard, it's fairly straightforward. But as you saw there, the attack speed up, it can snowball when you're making a few mistakes, and it could get real sketchy. Nevertheless, done with that boss. And the final section of this fight here, or this quest, there's actually one more fight against two tormented demons. And that is the second Tormented Demon down. We're going to wrap up the quest here. Anyways, that is While Guthix Sleeps completed. 5 quest points, access to the ancient Guthixian temple, and a whole bunch of EXP. We're up to 311 quest points now. With the completion of While Guthix Sleeps, we now have access to the Tormented Synapse and the Demonbane weapons. Because we're a main, assuming we have enough GP, we can simply just buy the Tormented Synapses. Well, currently, we are in a rebuild process and I don't actually have that much GP. I think the game plan for me is I'm going to be buying one of the Synapses and we're going to try our hand at farming some Tormented Demons ourselves and see if we can get a second one. Some Burning Claws along the way would be nice as well. That way I wouldn't have to purchase those either. So yes, essentially we're going to be Iron Manning our Tormented Synapses, at least 2 out of 3 of them. But also, because we are a main, if at any point we don't want to continue the grind, or if we reach drop rate and we're just unlucky, we can simply go buy them. So yeah, that is the game plan. We'll get situated and get started on Tormented Demons in the next episode.